First prep novel, David Copperfield, Chapter 12. The main points of this chapter are David's meeting with Dora, David's meeting with Mr. Spenlow. Agnes is a very wise woman. David's meeting with Mr. Micawber, Uriah's true identity. Mr. Bigotti decided to find M. The first point, David's meeting with Dora. David was honest with Dora and told her his financial problems or troubles. The word financial is the word that dealing with money. It means that he didn't have enough money, okay? So he is in financial troubles. Dora was so sad for David's state and didn't want to be in poverty or carrying any responsibility. Miss Murdstone put David in trouble with Mr. Spenlow by showing him David's letter to Dora. As you know, David dealt with Dora to send her a letter every day, okay, and they secretly engaged. They were secretly engaged, okay. The second point, David meeting with Mr. Spenlow. David met Mr. Spenlow in the cafe and he confessed that he was mistaken for keeping his love for Dora a secret. Mr. Spenlow believed that David wanted to be his partner because of his financial troubles. Mr. Spenlow refused David's engagement to Dora. David tried to protect Dora for his life, but Mr. Spenlow refused. David knew that Mr. Spenlow died from the clerk. Before Copperfield or David could ask Mr. Spenlow's permission to marry his daughter, the old man died. The third point, Agnes is a very wise woman. Okay? Here, the clerk, when the clerk surprised David by telling him that Mr. Spenlow was in debt and Dora would only have £1,000 left of his property if they paid it. It here for the word debt. Miss Mills told David that Dora would go to her aunts, okay, to live with them. The fourth point, David's meeting with Mr. Micawber. David went to Canterbury while returning back to London to see Agnes and Mr. Wakefield. David found Mr. Micawber sitting in Uriah Heep's office, while Uriah himself was with Mr. Wakefield at home. Heap left Mr. Wakefield's room dirty and unpainted while he cleaned his room and painted it in fresh colors. You know, dear students, that Uriah Heep became a partner with Mr. Wakefield after forcing him to drink a lot of wine. Mr. Wakefield drank far too much at Uriah Heep's insistence. Mr. Wakefield started to regret having Uriah in his life when he asked to marry Agnes. Uriah Heep asked Mr. Wakefield to marry Agnes. At that time, Mr. Wakefield regretted what he had done. Now, Uriah's true identity, okay, appeared when he took the clean room to himself and he left Mr. Wakefield in the old room, and when he asked for Agnes' hand, okay, now we will go to Emily and Mr. Pigott. Emily sent 3 letters and £50 to Mr. Pigott. Mr. Pigotti refused to take the money, okay, and he decided to go to Germany to find Emily and return the money back to Steerforth. The first question of this chapter is throw the letters into the fire, and we will forget all about this. I want you to read the chapter, then highlight this quotation to find the answer. To answer this question, I want you to cover 4 points. Who said this word to whom, where, when, and why? Finally, what does it show about the speaker, whether he refused or accepted the marriage? Then the second question, Uriah Heep is a villain and he was able to ruin Mr. Wakefield's life. Discuss. Okay? I want you to cover these 3 points while answering this question. The first point is, how did Uriah have power over Mr. Wakefield's life? The second point, what happened to Mr. Wakefield as a result of Uriah's fraud, deception? The third and the last point is, how was Mr. Wakefield's health or condition? And then describe Uriah's character after reading this chapter. Thanks for listening.